afternoon, everyone. Hi. My name is Sandy Nurse, and I'm the founder and co-facilitator of BKROT. We are New York City's first bike-powered food waste hauling and composting service, and we are based in Bushwick, Brooklyn. Thank you. So on behalf of BKROT, my project partner, Renee Pepperone, who's here today, our staff, Sonia and Victor, and our board, thank you so much for this opportunity to share with you about our work. So BKROT as a model is an innovative closed-loop approach to a handful of social and environmental challenges, and food waste is one of them. The way it works is we hire young folks, ages 17 to 24, to haul by bike food waste from small local businesses. They bring it back to our site, which is in the center of our neighborhood, and they begin the process of turning it into compost. The compost is then distributed locally to community gardens, urban farms, and other food growing and soil building projects. So at the heart of our work, our goal is really to retain ecological, financial, and human resources within our neighborhood. And within the world of food systems, we know that our work, composting, is often perceived to be at the end of the food system, but we actually see our work as the beginning of a local and very valuable nutrient and resource cycle. And over the last 5 years, we've learned some things that have both surprised us and also reaffirmed our belief that micro-hauling and food waste processing at the local level are really part of a viable solution to addressing the immense challenge of food waste in New York City. So right off the bat, the most surprising thing we've learned is that young people are really down to do this work. It was a pretty big gamble to make that teenagers and high school graduates would really show up every week to haul and sort rotting food. But it turns out that when you create a nurturing environment, when you invest in them becoming experts in community environmental stewardship and pay them a living wage, they will actually show up and take pride in and ownership of this work. And so, thank you. And so it has given our team a lot of joy in knowing that there are young people who are really curious and interested in food waste and also really concerned about our local environment. The second thing we didn't anticipate was not having to spend a single dollar on marketing, because it turns out there's a huge demand for our service. We have a long waiting list of small local businesses that are really eager to compost locally. Every week, businesses from all over the city email us eager to start. In some cases, they can't find a carter to work with them because they're just producing too little food waste. And in other cases, businesses just don't believe their food waste is actually being composted by their carter. And so they really value the transparency that we're able to offer and the fact that they're able to just walk by in the neighborhood and see it happening on some days. But really, most importantly, we have found that these business owners aren't simply interested in implementing zero waste practices. They really have a more comprehensive view of sustainability. And so instead of relying on large haulers and distant composting industrial facilities, they're really interested in building regenerative resource systems locally, systems that positively impact and sustain the neighborhoods in which they operate out of. So that can look a lot of different ways, but for us, that looks like sustaining young folks who are really growing up during gentrification in New York City through good environmental jobs to the sum of $30,000 a year, through using food waste to create 30 tons of compost for our neighborhood, and through actively addressing climate change by keeping organics out of landfills and emissions out of waste hauling. And these are values businesses are choosing to prioritize, and values that are shockingly not impeding their business models, but actually growing them because they're making a commitment to reinvest in our community. So the third thing we learned is that we hold an unusually close relationship to both our clients. We know them, we are their customers also, we see them in the neighborhood, we all live in the same area, but also to the waste that we collect from them. because we empty the bags that we collect from them by hand versus a bag that's compressed in a truck and then debagged by a machine, we actually hold a lot of useful information and in some ways are in a position to prevent some types of food waste. So a really concrete example is when a farmer's market brings us 300 pounds of beet greens. This is an opportunity for us to inform them that this is material that can be separated and consumed rather than composted. So lastly, we are constantly surprised, and honestly, sometimes we freak out a little bit by just how much food waste we're able to process in just a tiny space. So last year, BKROT was able to transform over 61 tons of food waste into compost in just 1,000 square feet of land. Thanks. And this is all done without industrial machines. And this very visible display of work on public land plays a huge role in prevention through educating people, through dispelling myths about food waste, and making clear the connections between what you all do in this room and our broader community health. So through this experiment, it's become really clear that micro-hauling and local processing of food waste must play a role in the future. And yet we also know that we are playing a significant role right now. BKROT, along with other emerging micro-haulers and grassroots composters and the businesses that we're working with, are putting forth an active vision to address food waste right now. And we know that prevention is very important, but the fact is food waste will only cease to exist when communities truly understand it and treat it as a valuable resource. And so what's exciting about this work is that we have an opportunity to address food waste in a way that also addresses other social and environmental challenges. And BKROT has demonstrated that composting can accomplish more than just waste diversion. It can create well-paying, accessible, meaningful, good green jobs. It can support urban food systems. It can reduce the use of diesel trucks in waste hauling, and it can strengthen local economies. So our model works, and we're at a point where we can imagine new and creative ways of thinking and sharing our vision of socially and ecologically sustainable composting with a larger audience. And right now at BKROT, we are really just looking for thought partners, investors, funders, artists, environmentalists, storytellers, people who can help us grow our impact. And we're gearing up to invest in technologies that work with renewable energy to quadruple the amount of material we can process locally. And we're working to create better strategies for distributing our compost to support urban agriculture. So it's a really exciting moment of growth, and we're looking for folks who believe that regenerative alternatives to fossil fuel-based waste hauling is possible, and that any food system must include the production of local, high-quality compost for growing clean, healthy food. And so we invite you to reach out for collaborations, partnerships, brainstorming, thinking, to join our efforts. And thank you so much for this opportunity to share. Thank you to the Food Tank crew for inviting us here, and thank you all for the work you're doing in your own way. Thank you.